Hello, Vinny MC here, and this is part 3 of my series called Cryengine Beginner's Guide to Characters. Now in this part 3 we will be doing installing the component helpers DLL. This component helpers DLL was created by Cryflare on the Crytek Discord server. He created it so I can have flow nodes that will actually play a mannequin fragment for me, so I thank him for that. We will be creating the basic mannequin files and importing the animations, and we will be setting up the standard character and testing it in the editor. So what we do first is install the component helpers DLL. You'll notice that beside the videos you're watching that there's a component helpers.rar file, and that you can download and put it anywhere you want. I put it on my desktop and I extracted it here, so you open that up. Now what we have to do is go to our actual tutorial project, our root directory of our project, and we'll open up the bin file, the Win64. I've already copied it over, but in this instance we go to where our component download helpers was. We open its bin, and that's all you do is just copy the component helpers here, put it in your own root directory of bin WinX64 of your actual project. Go back up to the downloads root directory and go to the code. Now you don't need any of these files unless you're going to recompile and want to include the DLL in your recompile. All you really need to do is copy the flow nodes over and paste them into your own code here of your tutorial root project. You paste in flow nodes. That's all set up. Once that's done, all we have to do now is go to our game cry project file, and we have to edit that to point to our new DLL we're using. So I'll open this with Notepad++. What I did basically here is I copied this block here from the comma all the way down to include the next comma, and what I did was did a hard return here, and then I just pasted it in, and the same as this, and instead of game DLL I pointed to component helpers.dll, and I saved it. So once that's all done, we're all finished with installing the DLL. Now we'll have to copy and rename and do some changes to the actual mannequin files. So we'll go to our assets, animations, we'll go to mannequins, ADB, and what we'll need to do here is we need to copy these 4 files, rename them and change them. So I basically have created a default folder here, just a temporary one. I'm going to copy all the files into this temporary one. I called the temporary one Maria so I don't have to type her name. I just paste these files in, and then I go and I copy her name, Maria, because we're going to be using this name in all the changes, so we'll just copy that Maria over. Now what we have to do is point to all these mannequin files to our Maria character, which is the character we've done throughout the whole process here. So the first one is going to be the first person. We want to rename that to be Maria first person, so we'll just put Maria in front there. Now first person controller def, we want to make sure that's the Maria one, so we'll rename that and call it Maria component definitions. Paste Maria controller definitions, and instead of player fragments we want to rename this to be Maria fragments. So what we'll do is just hit Maria fragments, paste that in, and then player tags, what we want to do is just call this Maria tag, so we'll just put in Maria here, paste. That looks all okay. Maria, Maria, Maria. Now what we have to do is go within each one of these files and point to the correct files we've just renamed. So we go to Maria first person. As you can see, it's looking for player fragments and player tags. Well, we want to change this to be Maria fragments, so we'll change this to be Maria. Paste Maria. We'll change this to be Maria tags. So change that to Maria. And these are basically just listing the animation, so we're just going to leave that alone. We don't need to change any of that until we actually get into Mannequin. Basically, tags are basically options on an animation. Like you say, an additive, like say you have an idle and want him to bend down and tie his boots while he's idling. Well, you would make that bend down, tie boots an additive animation, and you would then tag it, so then when you're playing you can actually say play the tag at this time. So that's fine there. Now once we've named all that, we can say okay, save it, make sure we save it. Now the next one is the Maria controller definitions, and of course it's looking for the player tags. We change that to Maria tags. Paste Maria tags, and we change player fragment IDs to Maria fragment IDs. Make sure that's correct. There, Maria fragment IDs and Maria tags. The rest are all fine. Leave them alone. We'll save that. Then our Maria fragment IDs, we go there and we see that it's pointing to player tags, and we want to change that to Maria tags. So we change that to Maria tags. We save that. And the actual Maria tags file, nothing is there to change. It's just pointing to the additive rotate within the default. We don't need to do anything to that. We just needed to rename it. So there, now that we've got everything, we're going to copy all these or cut them from our temporary folder, and we're going to go back onto our assets, animations, mannequin, ADB, and we're going to paste them in here. There's all of the ones there for our Maria. Now we're going to go back to the root of animations, to the root of mannequin, and we're going to open up the preview. And what we're going to do is, I've already had it here, but we're just, I'm sure we've got the right name copied. And what we'll do here is copy the player XML. Okay, paste that there. And what we do is we rename it to Maria. I've got one here, and I'll delete it once I just grab the name, just so we can start it over again. And we copied the player XML. We renamed that Maria XML to coincide with our character. And this is going to be Maria's preview when you're previewing and adjusting the animations. So we open this up. And this has some places we have to change also. Of course, it's looking for the first person controller def, and this is going to be a Maria controller def, so we paste in Maria controller definition. And here it's going to be looking for the first person ADB, and this of course is going to be Maria first person ADB. Maria first person ADB. We can also say the same thing down here, that it's Maria first person ADB. Now it is going to actually look for the two CDF files, the first person CDF and then the third person CDF. We can use the same one. So we have to point to the character, and we know our character is in objects, characters, and we change this to Maria because that's where our folder is, Maria. Paste, and it's not first person CDF, it's Maria CDF, and paste that in. Now because it's the same block, all we can do is just grab the whole thing between the two quotes here and copy it. Move down to where it's looking for the third person CDF, we can use the same one, and we just paste it within these quote blocks. Paste it like so. And we ensure everything's correct. Maria first person, Maria controller def, everything's named right, and it's pointing to the CDFs correctly, characters Maria, yes. So what we'll do is we'll save this. Now we're ready to actually go into the editor, into Mannequin, and actually change and adjust these animations. So what we're going to do is open up the Cryengine TP tutorial, or third person tutorial project. need this. Now what we want to do is go to our tools, and we want to go to animation, mannequin editor, bring that one up. I like to have it fairly big, as you can see here. Now in this instance, what we want to do is we want to load up the actual Maria preview file, right? So what we want to do is, whoop, where's my, I must have gotten rid of it or put it somewhere. There it is, my mannequin editor. Sorry, I got it in the wrong spot. So what we're going to do now is load up our preview Maria file. So load up Maria. You'll get a bunch of errors saying it can't find the animations because we've actually changed it to Maria. So don't worry about this. We're going to change it within Mannequin. So what you want to do, go down to the Mannequin editor. And if we zoom in a bit on here, you should see that it's got our character. So if you highlight that and hit the W key, you can zoom in like so, and there's our character right there. Now this is going to be the context of the third person, so we're going to go up here to third person. Okay, now here's where I like to, now sometimes I get confused or the system gets confused, but right here is where I create an actual fragment, which is going to be a tag. So I want to create a tag here, and I can say no fragment. Oh, where is it? Create tags. Oh, I have to go up here and say the tag definition editor. I want to create an actual tag here. And that will be my look around additive tag, and it's going to be in Maria XML file. You always get that error for some reason. And what I want to do is, with that highlighted, with her highlighted, I wanted to pick a new one and call it look around, which will match the additive I've got to be the tag. So look underscore around. This will be an additive to an idle or whatever, and I'll say OK to that. Now basically what I'll do here is go up to the actual animations, and there you see idle and walk are listed. So I'll open up idle here, and I'll go down to its default there, and I'll go to its option. And basically what I'll do is double click that option file, and you'll see once you've double clicked that it's going to open up this property is right here, and this is where you're going to change your animations, and it's going to show your first person and third person, and it's going to show the animation layers associated with it. So for our idle animation, we want to change the first person to point to our own idle. So we double click on it, and we click anywhere within the square, but it's highlighted already. So we just go here to where it says animation, and we point to our own, which is, there it is, idle. We say idle. And then we click to the next one for the third person, and once I click that, you'll see it expands the idle because it's actually grabbed the idle animation and is showing you the whole animation frames, all the frames, which were longer than the original default one was. So what we do is go to the third person, and we do the same there. We go up to third person, double click that, click on within the box there to bring up its properties. And we say idle again for that one. Make sure that both the idles have looping on, so let's double check looping's on for this animation layer and looping's on for this animation layer. That's fine. Okay, we've got the idle done. Now basically we can go to the walk, and this will be our forward walk. So what we do is, drop this down a little bit more, open up its options, click here, and what we do is go to its first person, go to its animation layer, and we change that. And we go find our walk animation, which is walk forwards here. We click on the third person animation layer. Click within the box, bring it up, and point to our walk forwards on this one. Everything's fine. These little boxes here you can adjust. That's the blending in of how it's going to blend in the animation when it does the animation. If it's going to actually attach to or be an animation right after another animation, or you want to put another animation on this same, you can actually double click here and add in another animation and then blend them both together. But that's going to be in future tutorials when we get more in depth to Mannequin. Right now this is just the basic setups. So there we've got our walk set up. Now let's make sure that our looping on walk is going to be the same. It's going to be a looping. Looping, yep. Okay, now let's make our walk backwards. What you do here is make sure that nothing is open. We're at the very top, root directory. And you want to create a new fragment ID. And in this one we want to call it walk backwards. So we'll call this walk underscore backwards. And basically it will pop this one up for all new ones, and it will say, well, what's the fragment ID name? Well, it's called walk backwards, and it's going to make sure that Maria first person ADB is the one that's picked here. And it's going to say, what's the default scope? Is it going to be the first person, third person? And you just leave these alone and say okay. Now you'll see walk backwards now appears as a new fragment ID. Well, with that highlighted, you want to now make a new fragment entry for that ID. And this is where it is, right here. You hit new. It will drop down the default folder, and in that default folder will be your options. You click on options. Over here you'll see now you've got a first person and third person, so you click the first person. You right click your mouse, you go to add layer, animation layer. You do the same for the third person, add layer, animation layer. Okay, now you go to each animation layer. Here's the first one. You double click that and you click on this little shadow box in here within the timeline, and there it brings up, well, where's the animation? You go to there, you find your walk backwards animation, and there it is right there, walk backwards. Do the same for this one, click in the box, walk backwards. Oops, sorry, I'm gonna walk backwards. Okay, and make sure that it's, yeah. Sometimes it won't expand all of the frames there. If you just double click it or click on it again, it will expand it correctly the way it should. I'll just make sure these two blends are in the same order. Now walk backwards, of course it's looping also, so we want to ensure that looping is on for both these. Looping on for the walk backwards. And looping on for first person walk backwards. Yep, those are all correct. Now all we need to do is add our final one in, and that is going to be, oh yeah, we'll have to add in our final two, which is our look around additive. Okay, and what we're going to do here is first add in our jump one, so we make sure nothing is open there because we want it at the root. And we'll say new fragment ID. And we're going to call this fragment ID jump. And here's the whole thing again. Jump is the name. Maria first person ADB is there. That's right. And first and third are checked. Fine. We say OK. Now you'll notice it's put our jump fragment ID. Now we want to create an entry or fragment entry for that. So we highlight jump and we say new. And you'll see right away it makes the default folder with its options. And once we highlight options, you'll see there's first and third person. We go about the same process. Right click on it, say we add a layer, animation layer. And a third person, we do the same thing, add layer, animation layer. And there's our two layers. What we do is click the first person layer, animation layer, and we double click in there. We go to our animation here and we'll pick the animation. And this one is our jump animation, so we'll say jump. And then we'll go down, and this is not a looping animation, so we'll leave looping off this time. And this is our second animation layer for third person. We'll highlight its animation layer, double click in its box in its timeline, and pick its animation, which is the same, jump. There, now basically if we play it, you should see her jump. There she goes, and jumping up. Okay, basically that is done. The jump is done. Now we can put in our tagged look around animation. So basically, if I highlighted the idle here, and I went and I said it's a look around, you see our look around now tag is being displayed. If I click on that look around, it will change that and show, oh, I had it wrongly selected, should have been selected on here. But look around is now a tagged, it's not necessarily tagged under jump, it just put it into the wrong location. But right now it's actually considered a tag, so we'll have to, we'll leave that alone for the time being. We'll have to go back to jump and add in a new one, a new fragment entry. Because we want the actual jump to be there. We put this look around in the wrong spot, so we'll have to go back and redo this to say add a layer, animation layer for first, and add a layer, animation layer for third, and highlight the layer, click, go to our jump animation, put this back in again the correct way, say jump, and drop down to here, second animation layer there, and say jump. There you go, and sometimes it doesn't do it, so we'll click, yep, expand it all out. It's not looping, so that's fine now. Now that we put this in the wrong spot, we might as well put the actual animation for look around in it. We can call this tag anytime within the system, so this is just put in the wrong spot, that's all. It's not going to affect the way it plays or the way you're going to call it. So we'll go to the option of our look around, and in this way, it's not the jump, it's the look around, so we're actually going to point to look around, which is our idle look around animation, or our additive animation. And it's not a looping one either, it's going to be a one-time thing, so. And we're going to go here and change this one. We're going to change that to look around. Idle look around. Yeah, everything's looking fine so far. So there, we'll check everything. We've got our idle, we've got our jump, we got our walk forward, and we got our walk backwards. So basically that's it. We're finished with Mannequin. We can go to File and Save Changes. It will list all the files that we have changed, the Maria first person, the Maria controller defs, and the Maria fragment IDs. Let's change those. So we say save. Now all those files are saved. Now we can close out of the Mannequin editor. We can actually now, what I like to do is reset the layout. So I'll reset my layout here. Now I'm going to load up the test level we have for this. Levels tutorial, and as you can see, I've already got her set up, but what I'll do is I'll delete her so we can go through the process and you'll see how it's done. And we'll delete her. So what we want to do is add her in. So she is under the components, we'll go down to where it says geometry, And this is going to be an advanced animated geometry, so advanced animations. And we're going to ensure helpers is turned on. And click that. We don't need this rest being shown. We don't need, yeah. Okay. Now what we're going to do is point to the actual CDF file of her. So we go down to where it says character and we click that. And there's our Maria. And we click her. We'll just turn her around so she's facing us. There you go. Now here's where we actually point to the advanced animations mannequin files. So we go down here a little bit further. And the first one is the animation database. And of course that is going to be under materials, animations, mannequin, ADB, Maria First Person Database, or ADB. Open that up. Now the controller definition file, of course, is going to be animations, mannequin, ADB, and it's going to be our Maria controller definition, so we highlight that. And then our default scope, of course, is going to say what's it going to be, third person or first person. Well, it's a third person scope we want to use. And it's going to say what's our default fragment you want to play as the default. Well, let's say we'll play the idle as default. So if you basically have that all set up and hit this, you should see her go into her idle pose. Okay? Now, once that's all done, if you wanted to do play some other fragment, or here's the way we do it using the component helpers that Cryflare made for us. We'll go up here to the flow node and say open. We'll not care about that. We'll say let's add a node, and we'll add our start node first. Then we'll go add a node, and we'll go up to where it says components, an advanced animation component, and it's going to queue the fragment. So we say queue the fragment. The entity is, of course, the graph entity, which is the assigned one, graph entity. The output here will be the queued fragment to be played. And now the fragment name is not going to be grabbed and picked up automatically by the engine like our other ones have been. We're actually going to have to put the name in here. So what we do is highlight that. And we go to here under fragment name, and we type in, and we're going to type in this instance jump. Okay. And we'll drop that. I forgot to lock the flow graph panel. No problem. Now basically, if you go to play, you should see her jump. There she goes with the jump. Now, say you want her to play something different, say the walk forward, so that would be the walk underscore forward we defined. So we can go back here to open up the flow node and say, and type in her walk forward, so walk underscore forward. Now we should see her walking when we hit physics. Oops. Oh, did I rename it wrong? I might have named it not walk forward underscores. Let's just check that out. Highlight her again. Let's check out the name we actually gave this just to ensure I'm not wrong. So we'll go to our tutorial. Animations, mannequin, sequences, mannequin fragment IDs, walk backwards. So all we got in her, there is the walk backwards. We mustn't have done the walk forwards. That's weird. Let's just see. Yeah, we did the walk forwards. I was sure of it. Well, either way, you'll see that's the way you run the animations using the component helpers. Don't worry about that walk forwards or backwards. it's there, or we missed it, or I missed it, I'm sorry. But what we can do is play any of the other animations that we've got up there. Basically, you know the procedure now and how to follow it all. So let's just do a double check again on the animations to make sure the name. I just want to, it's kind of bothering me. It's not pulling up. So let's check animations. Maria. Walk forwards. We're missing yes. So we'll just rename that. Copy that. My mistake. I'm sorry. I forgot the S. So we'll go up here. We'll go up here to our flow nodes. And instead of walk forward, we're going to type in walk forwards. Paste. And we'll save that. Now when we open up our tutorial and we open up physics, you should start walking forward. She doesn't do. I think, oh yes, what we might have to do, and this is very strange, is we might have to, oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button there. We might have to not look at her when we change it. So let's do this, not look at her, and then say, run it. Oh, that is weird, she's not walking forward. Okay, well, we'll try that again. We'll see what the flow nodes say. She's open. Walk forward is the name. Make sure it's correct. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Double check that. I don't know why she's stuck in this position, but we'll get right out of this. We'll go there. Look at her. We'll try that. And she's still not walking forwards, which she should be, which is very strange. Okay, let's see what she does in walking backwards. Okay, walk forwards. Walk backwards. We might not have compressed the file. So let's call this one walk backwards. Maybe the DLL is frozen for some sake or something like that. We'll see. Walk backwards is there. Exit. So now we should see her walking. Oh, now she's walking forward now. Oh, now she's walking backwards. There you go, and that's basically how you set up animations and how you run them in the editor and test it. Away you go. Have fun. That's the end of part 3. Part 4 will be setting it up as the player character. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and be talking to you in part 4. Cheers.